Well, hello, good morning. Thanks for coming and joining me in my shop here for the last step with this radio, which is to put it back in its cabinet. I was just getting ready to do that when I noticed a little issue here, which may not be a little issue in fact. So I noticed early on when I tuned the radio, there seems to be a bit of a, can we call it a blank spot, where turning the knob doesn't turn the capacitor. It still turns this wheel, but doesn't turn the capacitor. Now I'll show that. See, the wheel turning, capacitor not moving. But you go farther, then the capacitor moves. That play in here is quite concerning to me. This piece here, it looks like a cast part to me, and it's possible it's cast from an unstable metal. And it's possible where the shaft is entering into this rotating piece here, the fixture is cracking in there and breaking apart and beginning to fail. And where it's heading is eventually you turn this will turn, but the capacitor won't follow at all. And I'm not sure there's any kind of repair thing that can be done for that. By the way, I also didn't attempt any kind of alignment on this radio because the radio was working. Here's all the different alignment capacitors here, but I'm going to leave it just the way it is. No use trying to align this too much with this flopping around like that if the radio is already working. I just don't think there's much to gain from it. And the owner, I'm sure, has no intention of sitting and listening and playing with this radio. He'd just like to know that it can work and can be demonstrated to work. And that's certainly where it is now. So I think any more fooling with this, tuning, and just taking it further and further towards its eventual demise. That's what I think. So I'm going to continue putting the covers back on, and then it's into the cabinet. Okay, I think we're ready for a final test here. I'm just going to turn it on and we'll see how it goes. Now it's very, very hard to see, but the panel is actually lit by a light bulb, but you're never going to see it in this kind of light. I'm hoping with that speaker in a bigger cabinet it's going to sound a lot better. I'm hoping it's going to sound. Oh, how do you like that, eh? So you can't see it here on the camera. So I have a loop antenna on top here, which wasn't tuned. Very sharp. You can barely see my hand moving there. Okay, let's go after a station down around 640, I'd say. Oh! Wrong way. Okay, it's going to be a little tricky to find it because the dial is way off here.
At pharmacy and primary care settings starting tomorrow for AstraZeneca. The only vaccine shipment expected for Canada this week is a million doses from Pfizer. More than a quarter of the Canadian population has had at least one vaccine dose. Well, in the U.S., half of all adults have had at least one shot. Americans 16 starting today. Reporting live. Danny Colfer for City News.
Utah 904. The Ford government is in full damage control as it faces multiple fronts for its handling of the pandemic. from the public for heavy-handed emergency measures, from ICU doctors and nurses for not doing enough to prevent hospitals from being swamped, and from the opposition, which is accusing the Premier of planning to shut down the legislature to avoid further health crisis fallout. The city's Kevin Lizer at Queen's Park with the latest.
The Ford government denies opposition claims it was trying to pull the plug on the current session of the legislature. NDP leader Andrea Horvath says the Premier wants to shut down the session as of Wednesday to avoid...
Very good. So, what you were just, might as well give you the COVID update here from Ontario in Canada. The update is this. Well, I think we're quickly becoming the worst place in the world to be for COVID. That's what I think is happening. And everyone is pointing the finger at everybody else. The primary government responsible is not accepting responsibility. They're coming up with stories about why things have gone the way they've gone. And that's a really, really bad sign. Because I frankly, aside from telling us all to just stay in our homes, there is nothing a government can do much beyond racing out the vaccinations. But they can't possibly head off what's happening. So the word here in Ontario is it looks like it's 6 weeks of steadily increasing illness, peaking out at some horrendous number like 10,000 a day or something like that. I don't know. All I know is I'm glad I'm not a politician. There's a million ways to get this wrong, and probably no way to get it completely right. So, but I would join with the voices in my province and say the government here has not acted in a responsible manner, and they appear to me to be like high school students. Oh, I hate to say that, but it's like our province is run by a group of high school students. Oh man, 15 million people live in this province. That's a lot of people. So that's the situation. They turn on the radio, and that's what's going to come out of it in Canada for the next few weeks anyway. This horror story that we just seem to be sliding into inexorably. Well, on that happy note, I think the owner of this radio will be pretty happy. He bought it on site of the cabinet, and he'll be pretty happy to know that you can actually tune in a station and listen to it. But you need a really good antenna. You cannot make these old radios work like this with a wire out the back. That's not going to work. Not going to work today. Mostly because of the amount of interference and noise that's out there. So one last look at the radio here, because this is one of the nicest looking radios I've had in my shop. The condition is really, yeah, it's taken a few knocks, but this is minor stuff. A little bit of color on there, you won't even know it happened. And I think one of the most amazing things about it is the condition of the grill cloth, which I'm pretty sure is original, and it's in stunningly good shape. So my word to the owner of this radio, and I'll be telling him this when he's here to pick it up. If you go to clean the wood in here, use a toothpick. Don't try to do it with a cloth. If you use a cloth, you'll inevitably push on the grill cloth. Push it away here, and there's no way to push it back. And once you push it, you stretch it. So someone has managed for almost 100 years to keep this in good shape. And frankly, the new owner of this has taken over responsibility. This is pretty much a museum piece already, and certainly, it's only going to get older and more rare. Fantastic. So. Well, thank you very much for watching the series, and I'm going to go and enjoy my nice sunny morning before the rain comes later this afternoon. So, thanks a lot for watching.